Talkback Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the round table, and I have to say, I feel blessed. I feel honored to be able to sit here with some brothers who are doing a lot of great work in our community, in the house of God and outside of the house of God. I know these gentlemen, man. I've had the pleasure of going to visiting each one of them's church, man. They are prolific speakers as well as great advocates in our community. So I would like to welcome Dr. Joseph Marshall to the round table and Dr. Lonnie Wesley. Ladies and gentlemen, you know them from their houses that they speak in every week, St. John Divine and Greater Little Rock. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give it up. You already know, man. Hey, I feel like I'm in the company of greatness, man. I do, man. I do, man. It is an outstanding opportunity just to be here and be able to talk with two gentlemen who really have their finger on the pulse of the community. We don't really realize how influential our pastors, our leaders are. Sometimes I think we forget about that, and we forget the fact that the church is the mecca of the Black community. I know people say that that's not the case anymore. That the church isn't the mecca anymore. It ain't where you get the information or what you need. But it is. You're right. And so I want you guys to go forth, just talk a little bit about yourselves. I don't care which order you go in. I would lean more toward the queue, cause we but I ain't gonna do that. We got a guest in the house. We got Dr. Wesley, we got a guest in the house. So I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna make them feel uncomfortable.
Don't do that. You all got the right year. Just the wrong month.
Okay.
But you do know we are in January and you all are in November. So we do commend you for getting the right year. Even though I'm outnumbered though.
Okay.
So I'll just shut up and adhere.
Yes, sir.
To the environment in which I'm in.
Yes, sir. So we want to let you guys go ahead. Just talk a little bit about yourself, what you do, and mostly I know everybody knows what you do. But if you would just share with our audience just a little bit, and then we'll get into we're going to talk a little bit about this voting season, voter education, voter registration, voter mobilization, and transportation, all that stuff that is, imperative to our community and our successes. It's all kind of connected. So if you would, either one of you.
Okay, so I'll go first only because Dr. Marshall is our guest for the first time today.
Yes, sir.
But that's it. That's it. Next
time. Yes, sir. Next time. Okay, so you got that clear.
I'll get all the bullets, sir.
Yes, sir.
No. You can just follow this template and then add your own gravy.
Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
I love you.
Yes, sir.
Lonnie Wesley is my name. Lonnie Wesley is my name. Born and reared here in Pensacola. Thank God, from the west side of town. Thank God for that. Escambia High School, class of '87. From there to Alabama State University in Montgomery. From there to RTS, Reformed Theological Seminary, and for my master's, completed that at Selma, and then doctorate at Anderson University in Anderson, South Carolina. Blessed to pastor Greater Little Rock Baptist Church for the past 19 plus years. Yeah, man, those years have gone by. And we thank God. We thank God for that.
Yes, sir.
I've been blessed to do our best. The last time I was here, I talked about how much of a blessing it is to never forget where you come from. When you remember where you come from, it's easier to understand where people are. When you forget where you come from, you can't tell where people are because you don't know where you are.
Wow.
So it's hard to reach back, under those guidelines, man. And so over the last 19 years, I counted a blessing to be able to say, I love Michael Drive, man. I love Market Street.
Yes, sir.
I love Truman Hall.
Absolutely.
I love Mayfair.
That's what I'm talking
I do. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's
That's Eagle Plaza in the bottom. I love it.
Amen.
And from that love, it's easier to have food giveaways and clothing ministries, not just in name but in deed. So it's a blessing to be home. I love the church. I love what the church stands for. I'm talking about not Greater Little Rock. I'm talking about the church universal. Church isn't perfect because I'm in it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And if it was just the Lord, the church would be perfect. But He messed around and
Come on,
saved me and let me get
Come
in.
on, somebody.
And so I messed it up, and He still lets me stay in it.
Amen.
And so
God
when
is
I come
good.
in it, I want to do my best to do what the mission of the church is.
Amen.
To bless God by blessing others.
Come on.
Leading them there. So I'm going to stop there and keep it short to
Right.
give our friend and our brother
Yeah,
an opportunity
yeah.
to introduce himself.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wesley. And also thank you, Rodney,
Yeah.
for having me on, recognizing I know often it's like a cliche or some kind of fancy phraseology, but you all could have had someone else on this broadcast.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, y'all are having little old me
Yeah.
to be here. So I'm grateful for that. Speaking of little old me, my name is Joseph Marshall. I am a native Picolian. I was initially reared on, I'm not sure what side of town you would call it, but in Morris Courts.
Okay.
I'm sure we all know Morris Courts. And I'm very grateful for that. A lot of wonderful people. I did not know I was in the projects, only because I was raised in a hardcore Christian home by my grandmother, and things were just wonderful. And like the Jeffersons, my grandmother got a better job, and that
Moving
was
on.
working in the cafeteria at O.J. Sims Elementary.
Yes, sir.
So we moved on over to the east side, over on the avenues, specifically 115 Escalona Avenue is where we migrated over to. And I must say it was wonderful there on the avenues. And so I graduated from Washington High School, Booker T. As we
Emphasize that.
yeah, I'm emphasizing that, underscoring it, all caps, bold. Booker T. Graduated in 1989. Immediately thereafter, August 28th of 89, I joined the military. And I initially was supposed to go to FAMU or Southern by way of a baseball scholarship.
Okay.
However, I didn't think that was the best disciplinary move for me at the time. So therefore, I went into the military, did 23 years.
Wow.
The highlight
Impressive.
the highlight of my career was serving as the admin officer for the Navy Blue Angels from 1996 to January 31st of 1999.
Wow.
Also, I'm a combat veteran. I'm serving Desert Shield, Desert Storm, of which we were attached with the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force. And I'm grateful to have done that as well and serving my country in that regard. Ironically, speaking of Picola, when I called the detailer for orders after leaving the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force, I was getting out of the military and I was coming back home to Picola, of which many people don't think I'm a native Picolian because I didn't get around a lot, but I am. And I wanted to come back home because, as Dr. Wesley stated, I love Pensacola.
Amen.
And when the detailer stated that all we have to offer you is a training squadron, BT-86, to be a navigator with T-39 and T-2s,
Wow.
I said, well, doggone it, I guess I'll take that. And I came to Picola, and
Wow.
then I put in my application thinking that they would never choose me for the Blue Angels. That was right on the next hangar.
Wow.
And lo and behold, came home one day, base housing, had a big box of welcome to the United States Navy Flight Demonstration Squadron,
Wow.
i.e. the Blue Angels. So I was very grateful for that. Got out thereafter, January 31st of 99. I initially joined the reserves February 7th of that same year. And then I went back active duty because they needed a recruiter, officer recruiter here locally, did that. And so what I'm trying to say is finished the latter part of my career right here in Pensacola,
Wow.
which enabled me to be able to pastor and serve in the military at the same time. We call it being bivocational.
Wow.
And so that was truly a blessing, even though I'm paying the price for it now. I'm doing all of that. And as I kind of cut across the field and wrap up my little intro, I love Pensacola wholeheartedly. Played at Terry Wayne Park, did all of that, played in the streets and all of that. I just love Pensacola. I wish I could do more, recognizing I'm only one person. St. John Divine, the church where I pastor, we've done a lot of great things, but we're not settled there just yet. We believe that God is leading us to do even more additional things as we strive to not be the weak link in the kingdom of God. And so with God's help and with his strength, and even with my imperfections, that I will not get in the way of what God is doing within this community that we all love, and that is Pensacola.
Thank you, gentlemen. Again, I feel humbled and blessed just to be in you guys' presence. Both of you have outstanding pedigrees, and thank you again for being here. I want to get into a little stuff today in regards to just, and again, I just want you to be able to talk without anything written down, but speak from your heart in regards to where the church is, and I'm sorry, where the church is regarding her position on voting. And now I know people say, well, what are you talking about voting and the church, where the church is at? But understand me, I do, I may be a little old fashioned, but I still believe the church is Mecca of the Black community. I think it is the driving force of the Black community. And I believe media and all its companions that assisted in its endeavors to make it not look so, it is.
Yes,
it is. I think it's the place where all the information gets out to our community. I think it's a place where we're able to educate our people and it spread abroad. I believe that. So I want you to just be able to speak from that position. Now, as we look at the country, here's our backdrop. We look at the country, we see that we are providing billions of dollars worth of aid to different countries.
Absolutely.
Different countries, whether Israel, Palestine, with the food droppings and all of that. Israel, you provide arms and weapons, and then you got the other country, Ukraine. Is it? You got them. They're providing all of these weapons and things, and then you got a double header, if you will, when it comes to the presidential race. You got two people who have run against each other previously, who are running against each other again, and the country is amicably divided.
Yes, sir.
It is. It's divided.
Yes, sir.
And we as Black people, we kind of sit in the middle of this stuff.
Yes,
we kind of sit in the middle of this stuff. So with all of that understanding, I want to ask this question. Is the church looking from a perspective that it has a role to play in this election or in any election?
Well, I don't know if I could jump in. I would say, and this may not be the correct answer that folk want to hear.
Okay.
However, I would say that the church, by and large, has been passive in that regard, and that's my truthful opinion. And I speak that in general. However, I do think by way of specificities, there are churches that are becoming more and more involved in considering who are their elected officials, not just locally, but also nationwide.
Wow.
And the church, even seminarily, you're speaking of the trainings that take place in seminary, is lost. And if you look at all the stats, whether that be Pew Research, Gallup polls, or what have you, it is as though, especially the Black church, is trying to find her way. And the thing about it is that we have established a way. We just need to get back to doing some of those things.
Okay.
As I continue to hear my colleague, Dr. Wesley, state, everything, it does run through the church. Just unfortunately, the church in times past has not answered that call. However, I do believe that it is slowly finding its way. I can again say for St. John Divine, I know Pastor Wesley is going to speak concerning Greater Little Rock, but it is our responsibility first and foremost to be the pushers of that.
Wow.
Because if it's not pushed from the pulpit, then it won't be pushed. We play a vital role in that regard. I want to say this, and I'll shut up and pass it to pivot to Pastor Wesley. My doctoral dissertation, when I got my DMin, was on understanding leadership potential with an African American man within the church and home. Well, in that dissertation, one thing was discovered, and here's what it was. We often say there are no men in the church.
Yeah.
Well, one of the main reasons why is because of how the pulpit has diminished and bashed men from the pulpit. We say things like, if you want anything done, then ask the women.
Wow.
Well, if I'm a dude in the church,
That's
how do you think
offensive.
that makes me feel?
Yeah.
So likewise, so it is with voter registration. The pulpit is powerful. And if it does not mention it's time to vote, or it does not provide literature or things in which the congregation parishioners can be educated, then the church will be silent and there will be no or barely any activity. So I personally believe it's the pulpit's responsibility to push it first and foremost.
My goodness.
So yeah, if I remember the question in earnest and taking advantage to specifically answer it, Brother Jones, it's an unfortunate truth that sometimes it has taken something negative to get it started. Sometimes it's taken the wrong guy, should I say the right guy, to make the wrong statement
Yes, sir.
to get it started.
Dr. Wesley, I'm gonna just stop right there. That is so profound, though. I don't know if everybody caught that, though. Could you say that again and emphasize it, man? Because I don't think people catch that particular part right
Well,
there.
I said it's unfortunate. I really believe it's unfortunate that sometimes it takes a politician to say something outlandish and just ridiculously racial and just, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
sometimes sometimes it's taken that guy to just be totally off base with his comment in order to get something kick-started.
Yes, sir.
It shouldn't take that. We should be mature enough now
Yes, sir.
to know how important it is to vote and how important it is to work and to encourage each other to vote. And we, I'm trying not to repeat everything he said, but I like what he said.
Absolutely. I do too. Absolutely.
No,
Absolutely.
It shouldn't take, certain people to say certain things
Yes, sir.
before we, encourage each other.
Yeah.
To do what people died. To give us the opportunity to
do.
Literally gave their lives, black people and white people. In Mississippi and Georgia and Alabama and Florida and Tennessee. These and sometimes, unfortunately, it takes that. So I think your question was more like, where does the church fit in? I think the church fits in right there in the middle of it being sometimes unfortunate that it takes somebody to get it kick-started. So was it two? When was he? Yeah. When was he killed? 21? 21, right? 20, 21.
Oh, yeah. The job.
In Georgia, the brother, John.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that brother had to be killed
Very
senselessly
unfortunate.
Makes no sense.
in order to get certain things done. Now, I'm glad it got young folks started. It got young folks started. Now,
Yes, sir.
that's nobody can argue that.
Right.
That got young people
Started.
of all races in every country. Yes, Lord, started. I mean, very highly motivated.
Yes, sir.
In Little Pensacola,
Yes, sir.
they called for people to sit at the table and talk about some stuff.
Yes, sir.
But we don't need temporary seats.
Say it loud.
Yes, sir.
We don't need temporary seats.
We do not.
We need permanent seats.
Yeah, we do.
And I think, again, piggybacking on my brother and my pastor, I think that's where many of us come in, whether it's a community leader or pastor or philanthropist
Yeah.
or economist. I think that's where we come in to claim and speak once we get that permanent seat.
Wow.
In order to keep us continuously motivated, man.
So
Yeah.
If I could chime
Go
in,
ahead.
Doc Wesley, I guess, I'm loving what you're saying. In the book of Exodus, chapter 1, about verse 8, and this, I'm sure, it talks about there arose up a king that knew not Joseph.
Mm.
And he stated, come on, let us deal wisely with them.
Because
Yeah, lest they join together
yes, sir.
and they rise up and
And we
war
won't be
against
able
us,
to-
and we won't be
yeah.
able to handle them
Yeah,
jokers.
yeah.
Well, in contrasting to, of course, many of us have heard of Willie Lynch and making up a slave and all that kind of stuff. There's power in us coming together. And in that coming together, I think, the riots and all of that, that's one subject matter.
Yeah.
But I think reciprocally, as this new king that has rose up,
Mm.
as he did not acknowledge Joseph, nor Joseph's descendants,
Yeah.
we have some kings rising up now.
Yeah.
As that king didn't care anything about those people,
Yeah.
That's right.
we also have some kings rising up
Yeah.
that don't care nothing about these people.
Yeah.
Right.
And our rebuttal to that sometimes is to also reciprocally deal wisely with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And part of that wisdom is voting,
Yeah.
because you can pick it, you can do this and do that. There's a lot of things that have been done.
Mm.
But as Pastor Wesley stated, as far as sustainability, the Bible even speaks in the book of Proverbs or Ecclesiastes, how that starting is good,
Yeah.
but finishing is even better.
Yeah.
So we do a good job starting,
Yeah.
but
Just
we
not
do a
finished.
poor job finishing.
Finishing up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. You can start going to the gym
Yeah.
and post that initial one on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Is that like the New Year's resolutions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We'll get
Yes,
into this.
sir.
We'll get into this. We'll get into
Yes,
this.
sir.
I'm loving what y'all talking about, brothers. I'm kind of glad you didn't come in here with a script. I don't think it would have been as genuine
Yes, sir.
as it's being broadcast. It's coming from you guys as genuine articulation from here, telling us and telling the people, this is how I feel. This is where I'm at. This is how I feel about the church and where the church is. In spite of everything people say about the church, this, that, and all the
It's a
third.
lot about church.
I'm gonna say that we need the church, man. We do. I know it's tough. Pastors get bashed a lot. People come at pastors, talk about them on every corner, whether he's doing bad, good, or ugly. It doesn't matter. I'm like, hey man, you're
That's
a
around the don't die
destroyer.
now.
That's a fact. we have another guest in the house. We're gonna invite him to the table. If you could come around to the table so we can get you in view. Let's get you in live screen.
If I can
Go ahead.
make sure I understood you
Slide the
correctly.
chair over some brother Aaron.
Want to make
That way.
want to make certain
There you
I
go.
understood
You
you
good.
correctly. This is another.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
You
yeah.
already know.
Oh, yeah.
You know what that is,
You already
Doc.
know.
Doc.
You already know. I ain't got to say nothing.
I just wanted
That's
to-
you.
You got them ready for you.
Yes, sir.
well,
So absolutely,
okay.
absolutely.
Well, for those out there in viewer land, y'all keep me lifted up.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes. But listen. You still, Doc. You're still in good company.
I'm in good company.
You're in good company, Doc. You're in good company now. You ain't got to be afraid of none of that. You in good company. I'm ecstatic right now because I got some brothers in the house, man,
Yes, sir.
that not only love the Lord, but they love the community and they're putting in work. They're putting in work every Sunday. You see at least two of them. You see them every Sunday, and then not only Sunday, you see them throughout the week. I had my brother call Dr. Marshall yesterday. He was out attending to business yesterday. So they're not just sitting around waiting for Sunday to preach. I know Dr. Wesley, he sit on all these different boards. And I want people to understand these are real people, man, and they're out. I'm not just trying to blow smoke or none of that, man. I'm doing pretty good myself. Ain't that I'm calling them that they can help me do something, man. I want us to understand, hey man, we in this together, bro. I don't care what people say about me or what people say I said about somebody. Man, I don't care nothing about that stuff, man. Hey, man, we got to do this together. If we don't do this together, man, we ain't gonna do it.
Absolutely.
And I want to share with folks, man. I am pro-black, but I am not anti anything.
Absolutely.
I'm not anti anything. I am pro-black,
Yes,
and
sir.
our community is suffering in a great deal when it comes to violence in our community, when it comes to economic sustainability in our community. And there are quite a few things that I can go on and on with these laundry lists of things. But when you have people out here who are fighting the fight, man, people got to get behind them. You got to get behind them. You got to get behind your leaders. You got to give them that energy they need. Don't think they're just sitting around. There's people talking about Dr. Wesley and don't even go to his church. Don't know nothing about it. People talking about Dr. Marshall just because he was in the military and think he's somebody, you know, and a Kappa and all of this stuff, whatever. You know, people just crazy. But hey, man, I want people to know, man, we in this fight together. And if we don't do it, we're gonna do it. So again, thank you, Brother Aaron, for being at the table with us. You go ahead and introduce yourself, man. We got an hour show. We got about 45 minutes left.
Oh, well, I'm Aaron Williams. I'm a native. I heard the introductions online. I was listening on the way over.
Yes,
I
sir.
apologize for being late. I'm a zoning board member over at Santa Rosa County, also
Oh, wow.
a candidate for county commissioner. I'm a native. I'm a retired Army major.
Okay.
I've been in this community for 3.5 years now, and I hit the ground running. One of my first stops was Mr. Jones. He was a finance guy for the fraternity, and man, I saw him, met him, and I knew that I had hit a ground where black men
Yes, sir.
were moving us forward as a people serious. I told him then that, hey, brother, we're going to do something
Absolutely.
together. There's no way in the world that I get here from my tour of service
Yes, sir.
and get this kind of supporter, and I can add to. That's all I want to do is add to any conversation
Yes, sir.
with my personal expertise from my years away from the community,
Yes, sir.
and try to integrate myself back in the community from what I learned while I was away. And now I want to integrate into this community.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, we started a conversation here in regards to voting and what position was the church in, and where was the church. I had some interesting. I mean, I know you've heard them. I mean, some answers that I couldn't have wrote a script good enough to get them to deliver those answers. You know what I'm saying? Especially, you know, when you're trying to get, you know, I know sometimes we got to be guarded as preachers, especially. We got to be guarded to a degree that we can't share everything. But, you know, I appreciate that, man, and understanding that. So as we move into this next question, we know the church has a position, and we know that there are outside elements involved when it comes to dictating the direction of the church. And I'm going to say that because of their influences outside of what you're saying in the pulpit. You know, you got all of this social media, and you got all these things that's happening when it comes to social media, and all this dialogue, and people are listening to JoJo Nim, and people are listening to Auntie Nim, and people are listening to Cleo Nim, and all of this stuff going on. How do we move them into this place where we are on a consistent trajectory of not just educating from a theological perspective, but educating our people when it comes to going to the polls? Not just we have this position, we want to talk from the church, we're going to say you need to get out to vote, y'all need to vote, but are we educating them? And I want to say that hold that question: are we educating them? Because I had a conversation with a seated politician. And the questions were posed to me was, what do black people want? What do black people want? You know, they're asking things of me that I just can't do. So it made me think that are we that uneducated when it comes to us not just electing somebody in, but knowing what they do? Is there a problem with that? And you guys got the basic question. I wanted to give you that backdrop of why I asked that question. Are we on this trajectory of educating our parishioners, if you will, those who are coming into our house. And I know this ain't something that you like consistently or saying, okay, we got this component that's going to consistently do that. But where are you with it in regards to educating them to know and understand what their leaders do, what they should do, what they can do, what they can't do, so that we don't have all of this kind of confusion in our community? Like, I'm not voting for them. I'm not going to vote because they can't do this. I told them to get them some sidewalks, and I couldn't get the sidewalks. Or they had told me this house down here should have been torn down, and we up there. And they don't even know if their representative can even do that.
I can hurry up and get my answer out the way and let Brother Williams and
Go ahead.
Pastor Marshall add on. First part of that question, I don't know.
That's good.
Hey, man.
You
No, the first part is first part of your question was what do we do? What can we do
Mhm.
to get them to see it and get more educated on it? I don't know.
That's a good answer, Dr.
You
Wilson.
must be a doctor.
I'm
Come
just
on,
saying,
man.
I'm just saying, man.
People think have all the answers.
Yeah,
but
I
no.
know.
That's a good answer, bro.
I don't know
If I
the
had-
answer.
If I had that answer, you need to fly me to DC
And tell some folks up.
Yes, sir.
because
That's good.
we're such in a we as a society. I mean, everybody now. When I say
Absolutely.
we're such in a whole societally, culturally. We are literally living in a time when wrong is considered right
Absolutely.
and right is considered wrong. It's okay nowadays. I mean, you know?
Yeah.
But generally speaking, do you know how many children look at their mothers and say, "Man, what are you talking about, man?"
Right.
They really
Utilize
refer to their mother. Man, what you talking about?
Absolutely.
I mean, so, and it's okay. These are exactly. And that's acceptable these days. So I don't know. Now the second part of your question is a little tougher, you know, for me. If I remember it now, I got so captivated in the first part of the
Yes,
question,
sir.
Brother Jones. We still have work to do.
Yeah.
It can be done. I think though, I hate to get to, answering questions, where it sounds like I'm trying to speak for a whole race of people. But
Amen.
that's
Stop right there.
Yeah, right.
I applaud you for that, man.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
So often do they think there's one person who speaks
for
for
the whole
all
race
of us.
people, right?
So
And
we're
you
all
can't do
individuals.
that.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I will say this, okay? As I say that, then I say, but I will say this. I really believe Black folks want the same thing that white and green and yellow and and other folk want. I think I believe everybody wants the same thing. I don't know one person in Truman Arms that says,
That's good.
"Man,
Ooh.
I hope somebody gets shot out here today."
Come on, man.
Nobody comes. Come on, bro. I don't know one person
Wow.
in Warrenton that says, "You know what? I hope it rains today and it floods over here like it usually. Nobody does anything about it." I think
I love it.
I'm
I
not
love
trying to
it,
be funny, y'all, but
I love it, brother.
really think everybody wants the same thing. Life, liberty. What happened to the pursuit of happiness? Everybody wants to be safe. Everybody wants to be treated fairly. Everybody wants to have the same opportunity and success. Everybody wants to be valued. Everybody wants the same opportunity in life.
Wow.
Y'all go ahead, man.
I already high-fived you, man. It's all good. That was a great answer. Sir, I was not jumping.
Well, shoot, I'm going to follow your lead. Scott Wesley laid that down well. I just want to add, because you did ask, part of that question was some of the people who are in office getting approached and asked, what can, wanting them to do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. I think on the flip side of that is some do not engage in order to find out what
Watch
is
out
the
now.
community.
Why don't tell the truth in here, Doc?
Yes, sir.
Gonna make some folks mad at you.
No,
I mean, I really want to push it further,
You and Dr. Wesley gonna have some folks mad at y'all.
but I can't.
this way now.
I really want to.
I feel you. I feel you.
Many of my engagements, final engagements,
Mhm.
that finally took place when things could have been dealt with on the front end
Wow.
rather than on the back
Back
end.
end.
Because I think in speaking with governmental officials, not all,
Yeah.
some,
Yeah.
I think they're like us at times.
Yes.
So we go to seminary. So while you're there, everybody loves Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to win souls to the Lord.
Yes.
Everybody wants to increase heaven and decrease hell.
Mm.
Everyone wants to do all of these great and marvelous things until
Wow.
they get out on the battlefield and find out there are some hellions out there.
Wow.
And so now it's like, hold on, no one told me about this part
Yeah. Yeah.
because you had all of this great and wonderful, marvelous things that you wanted to do.
Mm.
But no one in seminary tells you about Sister Hellraiser or Brother Disruptor. They don't tell you about sitting cliques that have been there in generational passed down for 50 years.
Wow.
That when you get there, they're waiting on you.
Goodness.
And so from some of the governmental officials and empathizing with them,
Yeah.
Sometimes they get into office with the proper intent,
Yeah.
wanting to do a great and marvelous thing.
Mm.
But then they realize,
That ain't what they get.
oh my, I didn't sign up for
All of it.
the complaints, or
Mhm.
I didn't sign up for that, the inability to do some things, or I didn't sign up for a lot of the negative commentary and that sort of thing. And so it kind of can be like a deflating
Wow.
thing because you can't do everything you want to do. So, but again, a lot of that can be resolved by way of engaging the community.
Mm.
That'll solve a lot of issues. Not giving us what you want to give us, but giving us what we ask for.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love it.
that is good. Since I am one of the oddballs here, I am a political candidate. Let me take a stab at this.
Okay.
I think
Oh, yes.
we need to really realize as a people group that there's a math thing that goes on when you elect somebody. If you only got one of five, you can only, that person elected
The math.
can only do so much
Yes, sir.
until we get 3 of 5 on any of these boards that are within, especially locally. Then we can get the traction to say, okay, yeah, your sidewalks are going to get fixed. Or what we can do within our community, within whatever district it is, generate enough revenue within that district to take care of that district. That means within our districts, we need to create jobs. We need to figure out, find industries that will come into our districts and add to. And then, so that district, instead of being a district that, just say you have the 5 district, the one we're concerned with is District X, then that district, if it only brings in the revenue of, $100, but it needs $1,000, then the real issue is the district itself needs to generate revenue. And that means that we need to find the value in creating Black-owned small businesses that can help the community.
Yes, sir.
That would, I think, that is one thing that we probably could say that could be a thing that we could do. And in regards to elected officials, what I think we've monetized politics way too much to where a person running for office has to accumulate so many funds in order to get into office. Well, then who am I really in obligation to? The people who gave me the millions of dollars to get into office, or the people that went to the ballot box and voted for it? So we got conflicting things right there.
Yeah.
You voted for me, but these guys over here gave me $10K, so now I owe them.
Right.
So where's your biggest debt? And I think, across the board, that's happening a lot in politics, regardless of the complexion of the person. And regardless of where they come from, that is the bigger thing that's happening. People, elected officials are focusing more on who gives them the most money, or if you get into a newer age, who gives them the most likes.
Yeah.
And,
So that's very interesting. And I'm gonna ask a question in association with that, and you know, watch how I connect it. Do people like preachers? I mean, are they liking their pastors to the degree that they'll listen to them? And you know, the church can kind of sort of steer elections. I mean, you give it all the churches we have in this country, and all the parishioners that go to these churches, and if and I ain't talking about churches, pastors are saying, hey, you vote for this person, but putting out enough information so that these people can make a good informed decision, if they people hear them and listen to them. And I know you brothers probably say, well, hell, they ain't even listen to the gospel. They ain't gonna listen to me telling about. But theoretically, if we look at this perspective, and if they are listening to us, we can dictate the course of any election. I mean, and I'm talking about from a black perspective. So the question becomes: is people or are the parishioners really listening to what the pastors are saying in the house of God, and are they adhering to a degree that they trust what you say? They trust what you say, and when you give them information, they trust that, and in that they'll make a good decision off of that, because we got a lot of fakers out there.
Absolutely.
Got a lot of people say, well, when you get in that office, you gave all that money. You know, I know y'all say y'all voted for him, but I got all that money from him. So, and that could be happening at churches too. And so, does that become an issue sometimes where you're thinking, okay, people think you just here getting money, they showing up because you know they like the women in there or something, and they not really listening or whatever the case, man. Sometimes you find yourself in this awkward position, man. And I'm gonna say this for real. Being a pastor is hard. I know it is a difficult task because you take a whammy on every side. If you got a politician that come to your church, they say you're working with him, but they give you a little something. As Brother Aaron just alluded to, he might be giving you a little something. That's why you try to swear everybody to that side. So again, you asked the question because I have a lot of comments. A lot of people are writing and asking questions, and that's one thing that came up. That's why I'm kind of off a little bit, because they're asking a question about the realness of pastors.
I like that.
Go ahead.
I like that.
Dive into it.
Mr. Jones, because you're speaking very candidly.
Yes, sir.
Very blunt.
Yes.
And I think and I want to say we owe you a very candid, very blunt response.
Absolutely.
Pastors, indeed, of course, yes, there's a lot that is expected. However, I want to deal with two things. Number one, you have the pastor, then you have the leader. And often we separate the two. That, okay, he's a pastor, but then is he a leader? Or he's a leader, but is he a pastor? When the actuality is that you're both. You're a pastor and a leader. Because if I only walk with the pastor hat, then it's just Jesus. I never intertwine Jesus within the societal concerns. Yeah. And that's where my leadership comes into play. Pastor Williman in his book talks about leading with the sermon. Yeah. So sermonically, I could preach solely salvation, which salvation needs to be preached. Yeah. But how does that salvation intertwine with the community at large, if you will? Especially when it comes to millennials, Gen Z, Gen A. Yeah. They actually don't want to be institutionalized by the church. They don't want the church regulating them. Yeah. They actually don't want the church telling them. And there's a lot more I can say about that. Absolutely. But as pastors, again, until we see ourselves as that leader, even concerning societal issues, the basket that comes around, I'm glad you brought the basket. Because I must say this, it's not going to be popular. Yeah. But sometimes people think that the church is responsible for solving all of the societal abnormalities. Yeah. I wish y'all could know what's in that basket. It ain't $1 million in that basket. There's not, all these thousands of dollars in that basket.
That one might think.
I mean, Warren thinks that when it comes to the homeless, when it comes to feeding folk, when it comes to affordable housing,
Yeah.
it's just a list of things
Wow.
that they feel that the church is responsible for solving. We don't have the money.
Mm.
I know, again, what you see in that, you just see the basket.
Mm-hmm.
But what's in that basket can't solve all the problems.
Wow.
Rather than looking at the church solely,
the
church asked for 10%.
Wow.
Locally, they're going to get 7%.
Mm.
Then you're going to get the national percentage. You're going to get the fire percentage. You're going to get the school percentage. They got more money than the church.
Yeah.
That's where voting comes into play.
Go ahead.
Go to them, put the pressure
Good, bro.
on
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
along with the church.
Mm.
The same kind of calling out that you call the church out on, call out the politicians, call out the mayor and the governor, call out the president. The same way you come at the church.
Wow.
Because we only get 10.
Yeah.
When you add up the percentages of what the government gets, that's over 20%.
Yeah.
And they channel it to where they want. Put pressure. Because guess what? We want them to change some things too.
Go ahead, man.
But I say again, all what you think is in that basket is not in there. And there's only so much that the church can do.
Dr. Wesley?
Yeah,
I mean-
I was captivated. by
Yeah,
what
me
you
too.
said, Williams. A couple of things you said as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes we forget that all pastors are not the same,
That's right.
and we want to lump all pastors together.
We do.
We see one that does this, then all of
That's
them do
good.
that.
That's good.
Yeah.
One does that, then
All pastors do that.
And then we want to tell the pastors what to do because of what we think they should be doing. You should be. Y'all should be. You all should. You should. And all pastors are not the same. Whether
Amen.
black or white. All congregations are not the same.
That's good.
I don't know how many people St. John Divine feeds.
That's right.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I shouldn't just automatically assume that they don't feed any.
Go ahead, man.
Right. We
I
can.
don't know how many bills they pay. I shouldn't automatically assume that they don't pay any.
We can.
I don't. I should because I think when we do that. No. I think these will help us to better understand.
Yeah.
You know what you were asking about, what you were proposing. It's something as you said again. I wish I had brought something right.
Well, I've been
Yeah.
typing on my
You
phone.
did,
Yeah.
yeah. So you were forgetting.
You're smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, bro.
Well, my stab at this, my rabbi is Rabbi Eric Kirkpatrick. I'm an understudy there. So my quest in life is to be a rabbi.
Okay.
And so I've been a commander a couple of times, so I can understand some of what you guys are going through.
Yes, sir.
But as a moved away from the table, my question and my comment is sort of along with the people that a lot of the representation of pastors, it's not good within the Black community, in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
I do believe there has been so much teaching on salvation that has been little teaching on the Torah, where I believe the system of behavior is. If we only get to salvation, we do not teach the system of behavior, which you can find if you teach Leviticus more, if we teach Numbers, if we get into Deuteronomy. Hey, these are the things that we are called to do, whether you feel like you're a Jew or whether you're a Gentile, it all relates. And I think pastors could do I think all of us could do a service, whether you're a politician, if you're a leader in any regard, you could do a real good service of being the standard that we want to see. And so my quest is to always try to move and act as if I'm a man of God, no matter whom I'm talking to or where I'm at, and that my children are a reflection of that. And if we can get our pastors to maybe to teach that and figure out a way to whip that into these people, maybe. And then
good luck with that.
And then just think,
Good luck with that.
what would happen if our elected officials and our pastors not shake hands and say we're going to take money and all, but in righteousness work together. So when you go to church or the synagogue or wherever your place of worship, the person that's talking to you and the person that you see when you go to these city hall meetings, their attitudes are the same. They're all really trying to help people versus seeing what we can manipulate and get out of people, which if I had to go back to my country roots, is my perception of preachers. They're just trying to manipulate and see what they can get out of people, no different than the crooked politician.
You know, I have to chime in.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry.
Come on with it. Let's talk about it.
Only because I have to concur with Dr. Wesley stated. It's not all preachers.
Absolutely.
And it's not all pastors. I can say, being in this thing, you know, ministry as a whole for over 28 years, that a lot of pastors really, really love God. And they are really doing the best that they can.
Yeah.
Whether they have education or not. Then there are some crooks.
Yeah.
You know, as with any vocation. You know, with politicians, with football coaches, with basketball coaches. And sometimes I think the level that people try and hold pastors to, really, let me switch it. Communally, there's something about transformative leadership that I think that all of us want. It raises the level of morality, not just of the people that you're leading, but the leader himself. So here's what I'm saying. The pastor is also on a growth and maturity path. Should be. And so are the people. Here's the problem. I'm just going to say it, I'm going to shut up.
Yeah.
Feeding folk. We had to shut down our feeding program briefly for a while. You know why? Because we had people who would come, line up on Wednesday, we pass out on Thursday, line up, right? And they would take the food and then go sell it.
Wow.
What we were giving them away. So as you're looking at and holding the pastor morally responsible, what about the reciprocal morality of the community as well? And that's where all of us have to work together, because again, what you'll have is that, well, we're just going to stop the program. Well, that hurts the ones who really need it. But what do you do when you have folks stealing? And congregationally, you have your members who's actually paying their money that come to you and ask, why are we doing that when all they're doing is taking it and reselling it? So we all have to hold each other responsible and work together to do so.
Since you said that, I'll be.
I'm sorry.
Hey,
That's just the truth.
I really, hey man,
Still wanna call us out.
hey, I can't ask for better. You brothers,
Yes, sir.
I mean, both of you brothers have really given genuine answers. And man, just go.
Well, I just want to share, since he was transparent, I want to be equally as transparent. Our gym floor is now in disrepair. We have to replace it. Yes, to be honest with you, it's messed up. But before it got in this condition,
Oh, Lord.
we used to have open gym
Yes, sir.
for the community, and twice a week. And guys from the church were over it, and well, until some guys from the community started trying to fight.
Wow.
From the gym outside to the parking lot.
Oh, my God.
From the parking lot to the street.
Oh, my God.
From the street down the street.
Wow.
Once they got down the street to D or E Street,
Yeah.
one had gone home, gotten a gun,
Oh, wow.
came back to where they were at somewhere between D and E on Strong. Police came, WEAR came,
Oh, wow.
Not to that side,
No, that-
But to the church.
they came to
Get
the
out of here,
church,
man.
Absolutely.
and they reported live,
Wow.
Oh,
standing
my.
in front of Greater Little Rock Baptist Church,
Oh, my.
about the fight
That's the plight of the
that
church.
happened at the church
At the
when they
church.
fought down the street from the church.
Wow.
And
Yes,
for
sir.
2-3 weeks, we
Wow.
fielded phone calls. What's
Wow.
going on in the church? This has been now about 8, maybe 9 years ago. What's going on in the church? Of course, we shut down.
Then ask what a church.
And then
Why the church ain't
how
doing
come
nothing?
we're not using how come they're not using
Using the gym.
Wow,
Y'all
because we
fighting.
don't want anybody
Shoot.
shooting.
Get out of here, man. See, y'all, you brothers are talking about things that are not
Which
typically
is a
talked
very
about.
bad position.
That's stuff people don't
Yeah,
know. I
yeah.
like Aaron's question, and I liked even more your responses, because you're sharing now with this is what the people need to hear. Like, hey man, it ain't all like peaches and cream like you think. It ain't like we making a lot of money. It ain't like we trying to con everybody. Everybody don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody don't do that.
We
You
just
know?
don't want to help nobody. And
Hey man, I again, man, I do. Ain't no kind of. I appreciate you going just coming out here and not being scripted and then. So the people who are out here, it's a lot of questions coming now. It's a lot of questions coming. And I'm serious. Hey man, and you guys have answered some of the questions without me asking you the questions. Things that people are asking. One was about fake preachers, how they not. But Aaron asked the question is, how do y'all, if you get money from somebody, you trying to manipulate, that's not a real man of God that uses the money to manipulate his congregation to vote for incumbent man or not an incumbent, somebody running. And then everybody ain't the same. Like y'all answered that question. Everybody is not like that preacher you had a bad experience with. Everybody's not like that.
Thank
You know
God.
what I'm saying? And thank God. Yeah.
absolutely.
And again, I go back, man, the church is the mecca of the black community. And we got to stop saying it's not. That's where the most black people come together every week.
Absolutely.
The most black people come together at one time every week and has one voice.
You're correct.
And we don't have to go to jail because
And we don't have to go to jail.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
some of us may be too young to remember that. But there was a time in this country to where this right here,
Mhm.
if 4 or 5 more come up in here, police would be outside.
Right.
So, the black church has always been that gathering place to where we can come together. And it was political way back in the day. We did get them, to talk to us because that's where we all learned. A lot of, early, integration happened in the 50s.
Mhm.
Some, our parents were part of the integration package. At least my parent, my mom was there in the 4th grade. She started integrating, and so all those things are still there. And the black church at that time was the place where you can go, find out information of what's going on in the community. If you're having issues, find resources. And I think it needs to get back to that.
Yeah.
Get back to where we feel comfortable knowing, I will go to Pastor Wesley's church because I trust him.
Yeah.
I trust him wholeheartedly because I've listened to his messaging
Yes, sir.
and I understand where he's coming from. And I've read way enough books to know what he's talking and telling truth to people.
Yes, sir.
I've been around him enough and just watched him, his character. Oh, he's not that kind of man.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is the kind of man that you want for the people of God, for the black church. And I think that's
I've been an Omega.
What?
That room for those
Dr. Marshall.
that are listening.
Dr. Marshall.
All of that stroking,
Dr. Marshall.
what have you.
We gave you a pass.
I've been on
Dr.
room.
Marshall, we gave you
I've
a
been
pass.
on
And you came. Oh.
I've heard his messages, and and I trust him. And, well, these are old members of the Omega
Oh.
we love each other.
I believe something like friendship is essential to the soul.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then I read that somewhere. I read it somewhere.
Hey.
But no,
man. Hey, man, this is outstanding. Again, I want to thank my brothers. I want to thank my brothers for coming, man. And I do want to say to all those out there who are listening, who are chiming in as well, I do want to say, hey, man, none of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. We're not here saying or patting each other on the back like we're doing this heck of a job and we're without fault or anything. Hey, man, we're men. We are men who are in the flesh. Paul said, what dwells in the flesh is no good thing. And there are sometimes we make mistakes. It ain't like we're out here consistently and intentionally trying to do wrong. But we make mistakes, and don't hold those mistakes against us, man, as brothers, man. Because we're trying to pull this community together, man. God is my witness, man. I am. I don't care what people say about me, what they think. My goal, I want to pull my community together. And I know brothers who are out here doing a lot of work, man. We may not see each other every day. We may not be on the phone with each other all the time, but I have to get behind these brothers because I know they're doing good work.
Absolutely.
They're doing good work.
Yes, sir.
I mean, they fighting. This is brother Aaron over there. He's fighting every day for the black man. And to show that, hey, man, black men have a place in this society and a voice in this society. You got Dr. Wesley and you got Dr. Marshall who do it every single week. Every single week, without hesitation. They're there. Don't know what's going on in their house. Don't know what's happening around the corner with their business or with their children. You don't even know all these things that's going on. People you just don't realize what's happening, man. But yet they show up. Yet they're trying to pull the community together, man, and trying to give a word at the same time. Hey, man, we got to get on the same page, man. We're in election season. It's important to us. It's important to us what transpires during election. Again, I think Dr. Wesley mentioned there were so many people who went before us just to make this possible. We don't even talk about the lives that have been lost, from that time to this, but the things that they endured that we could get here. Now I want to talk about the things that we are enduring now to stay here. In spite of what's going on in our house, and I'm talking about these pastors and these leaders who are here. We don't know what's going on in their house, but yet they still making an effort. They're still trying to get out there, and they're still trying to resolve issues. They're still trying to help the community. They're still trying to build bridges and not tear them down. And they are men. We all make mistakes, man. Let's get on page, man. Go visit these guys' churches, man. Dr. Wesley, if you would talk about yours, and then Dr. Marshall, and then you, Brother Aaron, if you would, and then we'll get out of here, man.
So I know we're getting ready to go. So first, before I say anything about Greater Little Rock, 34 million African Americans are registered to vote in this country. 34.4 million are currently registered to vote. As far as the minority numbers go, that's 2 or 3 million below Asians, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Hispanics. Right,
Mm-hmm.
Hispanics, and then African Americans, and then Asians. How are we reminding each other of the importance to vote?
Yeah.
Again, it's sad that we have to remind each other.
That is, brother.
How important it is to vote. We have allowed Hollywood to lead our houses. Quick story.
Go ahead.
My grandfather hated the television. I remember going up there every 2 weeks, with my parents, and granddaddy did not allow a TV to be in his house.
Wow.
I thought that was the craziest thing I had ever seen. We had 2 TVs in our house.
Yeah.
One in the living room and a little black and white one with rabbit ears and tinfoil between the ears.
Go ahead, man.
In our room. And you don't know anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, right there, be sitting. I was the youngest.
So you did
No. Hold it, Dave. Be still. You move. I thought that was crazy. But I have a TV in the house. Granddad passed in '85, and soon after, went back up there, and somebody had a TV in the house. Fast forward now, I'm an adult. Some days I wish I didn't have a TV in my
Yes, sir.
house.
Yes, sir.
What you say, bro?
It is crazy. If you are a father, if you are a
Yes,
parent,
sir.
mother or father,
Mhm.
you already know.
Yes, sir.
Ain't serious, bro.
We as a society,
Mm.
as a culture, have allowed Hollywood to tell us what we think and what we like and how we dress. Was in Walmart the other day and I saw a couple guys walking in sagging. I thought sagging was over. I didn't know that was still a thing.
Yes,
You know, you
sir.
look up, you see their underwear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so we still do this.
Yes, sir.
I thought we had matured past
Yeah.
that. So, so it's unfortunate that that we have to remind many of the 34.4 million African Americans of just how important it is to vote. Now, I do want to say this.
Yeah.
In Greater Little Rock, I don't tell Greater Little Rock who to vote for.
That's right.
They go into the building. They come to the building already with their minds made up. For the ones that don't have their minds made up,
Yeah.
I like to make it known how they are encouraged. Do your homework.
That's right.
Go vote.
So,
Just don't go in there and vote for anybody. You vote your convictions. Pray, and prayerfully vote for the person whom you believe the Lord would have you vote for.
Absolutely.
You grown.
Mm.
Amen. Somebody.
Amen.
And grown folks gonna do what grown folks gonna do.
Absolutely. That's a
Period,
fact.
with or without
That's a
us.
fact.
But I do think it's important to remind everybody of the importance to vote. But I'm in no position to tell everybody or anybody, you got to vote for the silver microphone. Don't you vote for that gold microphone. And forget the legal ramifications
That's
behind that anyway.
That's right.
But just the common sense ramifications
Absolutely.
is just being respectful of everybody who's able to make up their own mind.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is go and exercise your right to vote.
Get out of
I
here.
am at Greater Little Rock at 901 North 8th Street, and we are there. This is what you asked me to do anyway,
Yes,
so
sir.
I apologize for all that.
Hey,
other
you
stuff.
ain't no apology.
But
That's good.
9:15 every Sunday morning.
Amen.
Sunday church school is at 8 to 9, and then 9:15. I tell people you better get there early because by 10:35 we out. So, you come to late.
We bumping and grinding, man. We go.
Don't get church, man. We first in line to eat. So thank you so much, man.
Oh, man.
Good to see Aaron. Good to be here on
Yes,
the
sir.
side. And thank you again for
Oh, man.
what you're doing in the community. You know I know you.
Yes, sir. I am
And,
blessed.
I know your history.
Yes, sir.
And your background. And brother, to see you now.
Mm.
You didn't think you would be where you are.
No, sir. No, sir.
You didn't think
You
that God
already
would
know
have
that.
You
You already
and
know
being the person and the man that you are and what you stand for.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at you in your eyes.
Yes,
right
sir.
now. I'm telling you.
I
brother,
know.
I appreciate you.
Thank you,
And
sir.
God bless you for that.
You
Thank
know
you
I
for
do.
this forum. Yeah. Okay.
I love it.
you much.
No, you good. First and foremost as well, thank you, Mr. Jones, for
Yeah.
having me on. Very important subject matters that we discuss.
Yes, sir.
I have not known you as personally as Pastor Wesley,
Mhm.
but I've known you from a distance.
Yes, sir.
Whether you know it or not, I've watched you. I've watched you on one side.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm
Amen.
watching you on this side,
I appreciate that.
and I have had a distant admiration for you and being a blue collar, in the streets kind of guy. Because
Appreciate
that's
that.
what we need, someone like you. I may do my work in the pulpit,
Mm.
but we thank God for the work that you do
Thank
out there in the public sphere. And so, again, I commend you for that and grateful for this space that you've provided. Often, when I hear a lot of times people, I'm not voting
Yeah.
because I don't like Biden. I don't like Trump.
Mm.
I don't like the local officials and all of that sort of thing. I understand that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, there's a lot of them I don't like.
Yeah.
However, I would recommend do not neglect the opportunity to vote for this reason. If you don't like the person, vote your issues.
Absolutely.
Read what do they stand for.
That's right.
That's right.
Cover your eyes as far as the person and consider what are their issues.
Mm.
And if you'll never go wrong voting your issues. And I'm gonna say this secondly, do not be bamboozled by the media.
Mm.
Because that's when the money comes into
Yes,
play.
sir.
Whoever can plaster your television, Pastor Wesley just got finished talking about his grandfather not having a television and that sort of thing because of the influence that it could have. So if I have the money, I can just plaster your TV every commercial with my little campaign.
That's right.
In the Old Testament, I'm a pastor, but in the Old
Go ahead.
Testament, it lets us know that God had a problem with the people of God. Here's the problem that he had with them. He said, you put a medium between you and me. Medium is where we get our English word media from.
Mm. Wow.
And God did not want a medium, or contemporarily speaking, media
Yeah.
between he and us. So therefore, I'm not to be persuaded by the mediums or the media,
Mhm.
but rather to go to God, since I do have direct access.
Watch out.
Get out of here.
And
Watch out.
consider
Talk to
the
him.
issues and convictions and talk to him in that
Mm.
regard.
Mm.
So we all have that right, we all have that conviction.
That's my best.
Go ahead.
And we have that thing that we should take advantage of.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, I pastor St. John Divine Missionary Baptist Church, located at 620 East Jordan Street. We have service early.
Okay.
Prior to COVID, we had two services,
Mhm.
8 and 11 o'clock. We tried to make our 11 o'clock services, but the parishioners,
Yeah, you work it.
as Dr. Wesley stated,
Yeah.
they like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we're out. I'm like Pastor Wesley. You better get
You
there on
better
time.
get there on time.
They know we have a countdown,
Yeah.
literally 32, 31. 39, and by 9:30 at the latest,
Wow.
we're out of there.
Go ahead.
We have Sunday school thereafter, and then we're just waiting normally in the parking lot for whatever your restaurant of choice is.
Open up.
For it to open and eat, and then put back on your pajamas. And,
Hey, relax.
play football.
Relax for the day.
So,
I
God
get
bless
it.
you again. Thank you.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. Well, Rodney, thank you very much for the invitation.
Yes, sir.
And you great men of God, thank you for allowing me to sit beside you guys. I don't hold a candle to what you guys have done, but I do plan on walking right there beside you
Yes, sir.
and doing the exact same things that you're doing,
Yes, sir.
and watching your examples and trying my very best to be the same type of man of God. I worship over at Bridom Synagogue. We do our thing on Saturdays.
Okay.
The Sabbath, it's over at 6700 Spanish Trail on Pensacola. And I welcome anyone that wants to see a little something different. Good teaching, great teaching. Come on over and see us over at the Messianic Synagogue. We do believe that there was a Messiah, and we are a mixed multitude congregation, and everyone is welcome.
Amen.
And one last thing I'm saying, I just
Go
gotta
ahead.
get this out of here, man. Just because I am a registered Republican,
Mm-hmm.
and Republicans, some people think it's wrong for us to say that, well, I'm a black Republican. Well, if you're asking for black votes, then that black Republican should also be aware of black issues.
Amen.
He should also be in tune with black situations. If I have to choose on that,
Yeah.
then that's a bad choice to make any person choose.
Yes, sir.
Do I choose if the Republican represents the country, but black represents the people that I come from? At the end of all of it, I come from these people. And whatever their issues are, I want to be a part of it. So it doesn't mean that if I come to a table that I'm politically aligned with anyone at the table.
Yes, sir.
This is not politics
Thank
for
you.
me.
Thank you.
This has absolutely nothing to do with politics, unless you're saying that, hey, I care about my people.
Mm.
Because I care about my people, and I am a Republican. I
Absolutely.
care about everything that happens. I care about what's not being done right in our communities. I do believe that we need to identify, fix, and move forward. All issues that pertain to us, just in the same way that we any other community. But I think there's another thing that has another level of conversation that needs to happen at some point in time, that your political parties have things to do with your citizenships. This race thing has something to do with the people group you come from. And if you move so far away from that people group to where you can't see them when you turn around,
Yeah.
then you're wrong. The
Absolutely.
Bible put us by people groups, and to ultimately to get to one people group. And we got to do that. We can't lose our history. We can't forget where we come from, regardless of where you are today. You still have an affiliation to the people. And I just want to say that, and anyone else that's on that may think just because they're in one political party over the other, that don't negate you from being responsible for the people group you come from and being the very best example of them.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for putting that out.
Hey, again, guys, I want to thank you for coming out. I thank you for being so candid and talking to the people. We had a lot of responses. Didn't want to get into all that. They're talking and, want to ask questions and all of that, man. I just, hey, man, I ask you right now before our audience, will you come back?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Wesley, he's a commoner now. So he's here with us. Aaron, Dr. Marshall, man, I would love for you to come back, man, and get some other preachers on, man. And I just want us to talk candid. Ain't no ambushing, ain't no none of that, man. You speak from your position. I don't want it to be scripted, because sometimes, you already prepared this for them, and I just want you to give them what you got. Just give them what you got, man. That's all we got. All we can do is be real with the people. And that's all we want to do. Again, man, I thank you. Got much love for each one of you brothers, man. If you need me, this is where I'm at.
Yes, sir.
God bless you, man. And thank you
sir.
guys again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. We out of here.